Drinking with Authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to another edition of Drinking with Authors. I am your host, the author, Nick Savage. And this episode, as every episode, is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications. That's all four of the apocalyptic horsemen. Check them out at their website, Four Horsemen. That's the number 4, not spelled out, publications.com. Check out some new authors. And actually, coming to us from that website, I want to welcome someone who has authored everything from books titled Rockstar Fairy Tales all the way to the General World Building Guide. So she has a bunch of things. Welcome, J.M. Paquette.
Thanks, Nick. Glad to be here.
Woo! I do it like there's an audience cheering because somewhere there's a guy like desperately waiting for this episode and he cheers and his wife's like, "You're crazy." It's really just my wife. But no, thank you. It is good to have you here. I know you've been on the show before, just not with yours truly. You've had other hosts, including yourself at one point, were the host of this, if I recall properly.
Yeah, I was a guest host for a while back in the beginning.
Back in the beginning. So before the 400s and everything like that. Because we're like...
Yeah, back when it was like on a kitchen table in a dining room.
But now we have green screen technology.
I know, it's very fan. Mine's real, but yeah.
As you can see right here is a giant whiskey glass with some frozen water. So we have some hail in the forecast. Mm-hmm. But speaking of whiskey and stuff, I'm not drinking. I'm just doing some Earl Grey lavender because it doesn't specify that drinking with authors has to be alcoholic. You have the Labyrinth cup.
You see my Labyrinth cup? I said hello. I'm drinking tea because I don't drink alcohol anyway. So
what flavor tea are you drinking?
This is orange pekoe.
Orange pekoe.
Because I like generic black tea.
There's nothing wrong with generic black tea.
No, it's good. I like it.
If you want to find something really good, because growing up I hated tea, but that's because all I had was English breakfast, and I am not a fan of English breakfast. And then you try the Lipton iced tea, which I actually think is orange pekoe that they use in Lipton iced tea, but I could be wrong. And I did not like Lipton iced tea at all. Nothing against Lipton. Hey, you're more popular than I am. Just wasn't. And then I had loose leaf teas and all these other things, and I was like, oh, tea is good. But if you like some black tea and you want to keep it plain, try some either Scottish or Irish breakfast.
Yeah, I have some Scottish breakfast. Okay, so you could see all my tea stuff. Like I have a tea station next to my computer in my office kind of thing. I drink coffee too, but I can't drink alcohol because I'm allergic to it. So I kind of went into I will drink all of the teas and mix them like I'm a medieval chemist. I've discovered I don't like green tea though. I keep trying different ones. I keep trying that. I'm like, no, matcha, no, just tastes like the lawn.
Have you tried Genmai Cha?
No, I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, Genmai Cha is, I think it's considered a green tea, and I don't know. There's a certain tea I don't like, and I don't know if it's green tea or oolongs or what. I know it's not pu'ers. I love pu'ers. Pu'ers are your earthy teas that taste like you're drinking dirt. And I love it.
Yeah. I don't enjoy that. It makes me think I'm sick, and then I'll drink. We actually have like a lemongrass tea upstairs that has just been deemed that when someone in the household is sick, they get the lemongrass tea.
Yes. Well, and the funny thing is tea gets like a bad rap, and it's because they have like those teas for like when you're like plugged up, you know what I'm saying? Like the smooth move teas. And it's just like, that's literally a medicinal tea. That is not your everyday tea.
This one isn't supposed to be medicinal, but when I drank it, I was like, oh, this is not my flavor. I like black teas. I'll get into like a little bit of the flavored like vanilla, the fruity ones sometimes. Sometimes I just want a peppermint. I'm an old lady, so at night I'll drink a chamomile. I moved to Canada and now I drink tea every night. So I'm really just, moving into the culture there. I've become my husband's mother.
We're gonna get to that in a second. But Genmai Cha, just to describe it for you, is a tea of some sort, and it has actual little popcorn kernels in it because it is, but like tiny little doodads and pieces of popcorn because it tastes like popcorn.
See, I'm all for popcorn flavor, but I don't like shrubbery in my tea. So like the ones
you
that are pretty,
sift
that
it
the
out.
flowers that open,
Yeah.
I'm like, these are beautiful, and then you're supposed to leave the flower. No, like I'll strain them and then I'll
Yeah,
drink the
no,
liquid.
you strain it. I don't have shit
Okay.
floating in my
I'm like,
tea.
I don't like I know you're supposed to read the tea leaves and everything. I'm like,
No. If I wanted to have food floating in my beverage, I'd share it with a toddler.
right, exactly. There
You
we
know what
go.
I'm saying? Like, no, and nothing against toddlers. They're just still learning how to eat and drink properly. But
Mhm.
a kid takes a drink from mommy's glass after downing a pizza, and you're gonna have pepperoni and crust in your drink. It's it's just the nature of things, and I don't want my tea to have that.
I
So now I'm
understand.
wondering if we can make a pizza flavored tea. So they can do things with technology. We have
Trying
the.
to imagine that, and
It would be like if you brewed those combo candies, like those snacks.
right, that's
Yeah, just like hot water over combo.
but warm.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I don't think I
iced
could go
tea.
there. I'll try it because I'll try everything, but I don't think it's gonna go well.
No, it will not go well. No, but yeah, this is what the show has devolved to after 400 something episodes is welcoming authors to then talk about the most random ass shit
Hey,
ever.
there's a class I want to take because I'm a nerd, so I take classes through the space program at Signum, and they have the history of tea. And someday it's going to align with my schedule, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to learn all the things about tea. It's going to be glorious.
You should. And learning all the things about tea is very different than the last guest I had on who taught me about animal genitalia. So it's just these differences. And I
mean,
think
everybody needs something to get them through the night.
Everybody does need something to get them through the night. And actually, speaking of things to get you through the night, my segues are horrendous. You have so many different book series out. And the ones that I know the most, only because of my proximity to them, are the Clauden's Ring saga, or Clouden, if you want to pronounce it more properly. But I'm from the Midwest, so it's Clauden. And that is a newer cover, actually, as well. We've had many different covers at our publisher for some books, yes. And she's holding up the other ones for all our listener-only people. Cloud's Ring, The In-Between, Solon's Body, and some other one that she held up like way too fast. Hannah's Heart. What would tell us about those for the people who want us to actually talk about books after 8 minutes?
All right, so Hannah does drink tea in this series. So Cloudens Ring was my first series. It was the first book that I actually finished all the way and got published. And then I finished the whole series. So it started as a joke. So I'm a D&D nerd, and one of the DMs that we used to play with, he did something called pool effects. So the idea was you roll up your character, everybody's got their characters, and I rolled up a human sorcerer, and I was like, cool, I'm going to throw daggers in extremity, but mostly magic. And then his trick was everybody rolls a percentile, or a D100, a 100-sided dice. And he had a chart, and the idea was your character had drank from a magical pool at some point in their life and had a magical effect, and half of them were good and half of them were bad. And I rolled on his pool effects chart vampire. So my human sorcerer became a vampire, and that game, which we played for almost 2 years, ended with me trying to hide the fact that I was a vampire from the paladin in the party, who started getting really curious about the fact that there were always bodies near Hannah when she was a sorcerer and supposed to be a ranged fighter. And then, of course, I read romance, fantasy, romantasy. So that's what I was always writing. And I was like, well, what if, my Hannah vampire had a little romance. So let's find out why she's on the road and what happened to her and where does she come from? And all of that turned into the Clauden's Ring saga.
Did the DM know about your medical condition and thus give you vampirism?
No, because I wasn't allergic to the sun back then. My solar urticaria did not start until 2015, and I wrote Hannah in 2007.
Sure, why not? 2007. And so, wait a second. Solar urticaria. So it's not porphyria of any sort.
No, porphyria would be more like there would be skin situations,
Yes.
hair, teeth, all of that. No, I don't have that. Solar urticaria is, as I've been told, a symptom of something. Basically, my skin has decided that UV light is the enemy. So when I go outside or get my nails done and try to put my hands under the little UV, I get an instant sunburn. And when I mean instant, I mean like 3 to 4 minutes. I lived in Florida, and you could literally see the lines, like where I wear a ton of sunscreen still, but like you could see where my shirt is. I would have a line for my collar. You can find every seam, like where the sun goes through. I went to the hospital for it a couple times. They did all of the different tests, and basically they were like, we don't know, you're allergic to the sun. Just cover up like you have skin cancer. Good luck. It may disappear someday.
Wow, that is a very interesting and kind of not fun at all, like
No.
kind of thing to have. And I do remember one time we were doing a show and I accidentally shined a black light on you, which of course is UV, and you were just like, please don't. And that's how I found out.
Like, I can feel my skin boiling.
Yeah, so
But
sorry about that.
I did get to use my HSA card to tint my car windows, which was wonderful.
HSA?
Like my health savings account that I got through
Okay.
work, because it's a medical expense for me to
Now, do you then get to bypass the laws of like, you can only have 20% and you're like, I get to have 50%?
I could have. I chose not to because I didn't want to get pulled over every 5 seconds.
And well, so you don't get like a handicap sticker of like, I can only.
I qualified for one. I didn't get it. I was like, I feel like there are people who are more in need of handicap parking than I. Like, I can suffer to go inside a store. Like, I can move faster, and I wear hats and shawls and scarves and everything. COVID was great because then everyone wore a mask, so me wearing a mask wasn't weird. But now, when I wear a mask, it's a little weird. But I did move to Canada where the UV is so much better. Like, there'll be warnings. My phone is set to give me UV warnings because life. But they give a warning here at like UV5. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I can
That
actually
is
go
cute,
outside
yeah.
for like 20 minutes in a UV5. I'm good.
Yeah, coming from Florida, UVs range in the 10s to
10
on
to
up.
12.
It's always fun.
You can feel it cooking you. Yeah.
So you've moved up to Canada,
Hmm.
and how are you enjoying it up there?
I love it. Hey.
But you are not, as you upset every Canadian with. Like, you're like, they all talk like they're from the movie Strange Brew. For anyone who doesn't know the movie, that was an older movie at this point. You moved up there, and you've been up there, but you are not in a major city. You're kind of major city adjacent.
I'm outside of Toronto, about 40 minutes outside of Toronto. I'm still on a train. There's public transportation here that works.
Wait, you're 40 minutes driving or train time outside of Toronto?
Driving. With the train, it's about an hour because it stops.
Oh, that's not terrible. Okay, so it's like a Metro L train type. It's not one of those like, I'm going to go from like Florida to Illinois and have it take 3 days or
no, like it stops every 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, so it's just your local kind of.
Just the local to get people in. Mm-hmm.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible.
No, it's great. I love it. Then you don't have to park in Toronto, which is awesome.
Me and my wife actually were looking to move to someplace a little colder, and we're like, Canada has got to be cheaper. Canada's not.
Well, the money is different. You have to do the exchange because American money and Canada money are very different. So I still work in the US because I'm waiting for my residency paperwork to go through. So my US money is a lot more in Canada. And honestly, we were paying a mortgage and we moved into a 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom townhouse, and we are paying the exact same money I was paying for my mortgage in Florida.
And in Florida, I believe you were in a condo, if I recall.
No, I had a house with a pool.
Oh, you did have a house with a pool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you lived in Clearwater.
I did.
When you were down here. I honestly only know Clearwater by the giant beach condos.
Oh, we weren't on the beach. We were off.
You were off the beach.
Clearwater's pretty big. It's not just the beach.
I thought it was just that strip. I thought like Clearwater was just like the island. Here's the strip and everything else.
Beach, and then Clearwater, the city, is actually like a huge. It's the whole peninsula all the way across the top.
This, folks, is why you study geography. Otherwise, you think something and you're completely wrong about it. I did not know that. I only knew like the strip and the beach where all the tourists go, and then like the giant condos. So I always thought that
Clearwater Beach.
Okay, so you had a house as well, but you are in a
Now I'm
bigger
in a
house.
townhouse with all of the stairs.
Oh my God, I miss. For anyone who doesn't know, Florida doesn't have basements, and half the houses don't have upstairs, and they can't have basements because of the water level. You miss things that you don't think you're going to miss when you move down here.
Can I tell you about the stairs? So one of the things, this is writing related. See, look, I'm segueing as well.
Segue back,
Um,
yes, please.
I have a friend, and we do accountability lists every week. And my thing is I have to write every day, every single day. And if I don't write every day, I have to take the stairs, which in Florida meant I'm a professor and my office was on the third floor and the stairs are outside. So that was 3 flights outside in the Florida humidity. And I'm a lazy, lazy person. So I was like, I am writing because I don't want to take the stairs every day. Now I live in a house that is a 3-story house. So I have to take the stairs every day. So I was like, we need a new punishment for me if I don't write, because I'm staring constantly. But it is nice because, I feel healthier.
Well, yes, movement is healthy. Well, okay, like it's the thing is now me and my wife, because we work out of her home, that if at the end of the day, if we have a long work day, we leave the house, even if it's late at night, just to go get some exercise somewhere and stuff.
It's hot.
Because it's so
here it's nice. Like everyone here is complaining how hot it is, and we have the windows open. I'm like,
What's the temperature of Fahrenheit?
like maybe 80, 81.
Oh, that's so much nicer. Well, is
Yeah,
it a
and the
wet or a
humidity
dry
is
81?
30.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we have the windows open. They're like, oh, it's so hot. I'm like,
No.
I guess, yeah.
But when you're officially finally all moved in, because I know you're still doing, you know what I'm saying, some community stuff right now, you'll get used to it. Like I was like, when I moved down here from Illinois, I was like, I will never get, like be not okay with the cold and blah, blah. I'll always be like, cold is good. And now it's 70 degrees and I'm freezing.
Well, same. I grew up in New York and then moved to Florida, and it didn't take very long before going home. I was freezing. So moving back up here, I'm like, all right, layers, coats, heaters, warm fuzzy socks, all the things.
And once you're done with the constant, every few weeks going back and forth, you will get used to it, and then you'll be like, 80 is so hot, and you're like, what happened to me?
I'll go back home to Florida to visit my mom and be like, I'm drinking the air.
Which we were doing last night. It was so bad. It was supposed to rain last night, and we're on our Riker, which is like a 3-wheel ATV street legal thing, and it was supposed to be raining, but there was no rain. But every once in a while, I just feel a drop of water, but it wasn't falling. It was just like in the air, hovering, and we'd hit it. And that's Florida weather.
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah, if people think I'm lying, come down for the humid season before the rainy season starts.
It's so gross.
Yeah, it's not good. So okay, let's take back to the books for a second, and then we're going to talk about D&D. So you have your Cloudens Ring saga, that whole thing, but then you also have the Rockstar Fairy Tales. You have so many different genres because you have your world building guides. You have you have a pen name we're not allowed to talk about right now.
I have my Rockstar Fairies, which so far is Heart of Stone and Heart of Fire, which is an urban fantasy, rock stars, love triangles, and happy endings, because that's what I do. Lots of drama and stuff. I'm almost done with book 3. I'm hoping in the next week or so. I also have another urban fantasy. Look, we didn't even talk about this. I have Invite Me In and Keep Me Close, please, which is a vampire demon duology, 2 books, happy ending. Everything is sorted. You don't have to wait. It's all decided. So,
now, are they all 18 and over, or any of them YA?
Yes. The only thing I could remotely have, the very first Cloudens Ring, is a slow burn romance. So that could be considered YA, but the series gets a lot more spicy as sort of she matures, and things happen. And by book 3, things are very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. That is a very proper way of saying that we can't talk about such things right now, which is fine. Well, basically, it's a story. So it's a vampire princess finds out a secret about her heritage. She runs away from home. She hooks up with this party of adventurers. They're all running away from goblins that are attacking all the villages. And she meets Rory, who's a very sexy warrior elf. He's got his whole baggage and haunted past that she finds out about. And then the guy she was supposed to marry back home, Claudin, shows back up again. So it's what happens between, it's like the tension of going home where everything's familiar and known, and like exploring the great wide world beyond, where, you know, is it what you want to do, or is it what you're supposed to do?
Ah, I see.
And
now, as
and...
no. My question for you is, there's this whole push right now in the reader side of the industry that if it's not happy ending, it's not romance. It's just lit fic with sex. And there are entire threads on Reddit about this, where romance must be happily ever after, or at the very least happily for now, and any other ending is not romance. What is your thought on that?
Okay, I know what I like to read, and I like to read happily ever after. A happily for now is okay, but if I know that, I probably won't read it, because I like happily ever afters. That is what I go for, so that is what I write. But the definition of romance, anything that involves a relationship between two people is a romance, whether it works out or not. And this is the professor side of me. I'm like, well, romance comes from Roman, which just means a story written in a Romance language, which is when the French invaded England. So romance had nothing to do with relationships until way, way later. And like the 1900s is really when we started being like, a romance is about a relationship between two people who are in love. Even like medieval romances are just knights going on adventures. You have to have it has to explore the depths of space and time. So it has to go either outside of your time frame or outside of like where you live geographically. And then there has to be some sort of quest involved. That was all it took to be a romance, other than it was written in French. So the idea that a romance has to be a relationship is really new. I'm not shocked that there are people who are like, that's not a romance, because things are always changing definition wise. But I would say blanket term, I mean, we call the Scarlet Letter a romance. Why? Because he wrote it about people who lived 200 years before he lived. Granted, he was related distantly to the people involved, but yeah, sorry, that was me.
No, that is okay. But speaking of the doctorate stuff, now no, this is actually under your J.M. Paquette, because I know you have a few different pen names. You have the General World Building Guide.
I do. Oh, wait, look, I have it here.
Yes, and she's going to show, and it is a giant textbook, and that's got some blank pages for fill in the blanks type stuff. And tell us about that, because there's going to be some authors who want to jump on that because they like to world build. So how is that useful for people who are world building?
All right. So I'm terrible at keeping track of my worlds. And now I have 4 series written, and this is a big problem in my life, that when I go to write the next book in the series, I have to reread books 1, 2, 3, 4. And now as I'm writing like book 4, book 5, I'm like, this does not work. I need something else. So I thought a world building guide, a workbook where you literally write down write down the answers to questions, but I framed it around all the aspects of culture. So I share an office when down in Florida with an anthropologist. She's my office mate. So when I was kind of toying around with the idea, I was like, cool. So you teach anthropology. That's like history. It's not dinosaurs. I love to get her dinosaur stuff to mess with her, but anthropology is the study of people, humans, anthro. So I was like, what are all the things you cover in your class? Like, what are all the aspects? So she was like, well, culture, and let's talk about what all that is. So the book basically divides a world into the anthropological categories thereof. So we start with, how'd your world come into being? So creation, myths, storytelling, heroes, because I was like, usually that's kind of important to people.
Yeah.
It gets into government, education, relationships, fashion, warfare, technology. Who are the different peoples? What are the creatures in your world? How does science work? And I'm a teacher, so every section has about 20, 25 questions about how does this work? How does this work? How does this work? How much does the average person in your world know about topic X, whatever it is? And then there's exercises of like, apply this to your particular story. Okay. And then my favorite thing at the back is, well, I have character sheets and maps and all of that, but I did top 5s. Like, what are the top 5 songs that everybody in a bar would know? If you sit down and you figure that out beforehand, then when you're writing the scene, you don't have to pause to be like, what would be a good song that everybody would know? You know, who are five things that people at a sports game would talk about, that everybody would know about? What are like the popular topics of conversation in your world? So it's stuff like that to have in the background. And I say you always do world building when you're not writing. So they're two separate activities. Because otherwise you're writing and you're like, oh no, I need to figure out the name of the mayor. Let me go down this rabbit hole of names and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I put X's in there and I'm like, insert name here, you know.
And then hopefully you get back to it before the final track.
Yeah, so it ends up with like XXX. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I meant.
That is wonderful. And that is out, right? That one's released.
Yeah.
Okay. That one's released because, that is something that I think a lot of people
also works for role playing. If you're a DM and you want to keep track of things, it has everything from like money, weather patterns, the names of the months, major events in the history that affect your campaign, that, you know, the story you're telling.
Actually, I want to talk about role playing and how it relates to writing, but you have to give me 1 second. I'll be right back to the listener. Okay, so Pest, sorry, and we're back. See, no time at all, Pest. So I actually have told this to people before, because I have a couple of guides that actually my father-in-law got me at one point because he loved one of my series and I wasn't writing fast enough. So he got me like these little character building guides and stuff like that. But if you play D&D and you're a writer, make character sheets for your characters. Doesn't matter if it's a modern romance, futuristic sci-fi, medieval, it doesn't matter if there's magic involved or not, or superpowers. Just make character sheets. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say it, and I think you'll agree with me, is because, one, when conflict happens, a character sheet will help you understand how they're going to react to a situation, especially if it's a situation you haven't thought of in your head before, because if you're a pantser or a plotter, you know, things will occur. And it's also one of those things where if two of them end up getting into a fight, either with other people or themselves, and they're both untrained fighters, well, you get to see who's either way quicker or way stronger and how that's going to play out as well and stuff like that. Or if they're intelligent enough to use weapons of opportunity, you know. So it's a whole different kind of mindset to have instead of just writing and hoping you remember. One
of the problems I ran into in Cloudon's Ring was that she started as a sorcerer, and then so I built her as a sorcerer, but by the time we started playing, something I can't even. It was a really long time ago. But she ended up I have her character sheet. She's a wizard on my character sheet, and you can see that I erased it. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the D&D, but basically sorcerers know spells, wizards memorize spells. So it became a big thing that Hannah has to memorize spells every morning. But in my book, I made it that she's weird, and it's because of her whole the secret in her past. Her magic doesn't work right. She should be able to inherently know spells, and she's outcast a lot because she has to memorize them. Like it's a flaw in her. And then later on, something happens where she ends up in a different body, and that body doesn't know how to read. So she can't read her spells and can't memorize them. So she loses the access that she had to her magic for it. So I took kind of the mechanics of the game and I made it work as character development in my story. But I couldn't have done that if I didn't have the character sheet in front of me listing all of the abilities.
Which is absolutely wonderful. And it's funny too, because like lit RPG of a sort, and I know that's not strictly lit RPG, it's just a kind of but lit RPG has become very popular and stuff, and it's just, you've been playing D&D since before it was cool.
I played back with Thaco, if that tells you
anything. Oh my God, thank you so much. We're going to talk about Thaco for a second, because nobody I have talked to who's like, I play D&D. I'm like, what version do you play? They're like 3.5 or 5.0. And I'm like, you play World of Warcraft on paper.
Pretty much. I started with second edition. Second edition was pretty new when I started, and you had to do all the Thaco is negative, right? 2-hit armor class 0, and then you had to, the negatives, and you had the little chart that you had to read. I liked 3.0. I stayed with third edition forever. They were like, 5th edition is out. I was like, cool. How about third edition?
But third edition just turned it into World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but it was D20 and you didn't have to have a gazillion different math. English person.
But D20, all of it, even 2.0 is D20. It was D6, D8, D12, D20.
I don't know. I played Shadowheart too, and that was all D6s, and I was like, oh God, how many?
Oh, no, I can't do that. GURPS, Generic Universal Role-Playing System.
Oh my God, where you need a calculator? Yeah.
Yeah, that. But okay, here's my thoughts on THAC0. And for anybody listening to this right now, and you say, what the fuck is THAC0? She said it's 2-hit armor class 0. That's the acronym THAC0. And in old D&D, the worst armor class you could have is a 10. The best armor class you could have is a -10. That was your range. There wasn't you start at 0 and you build up this number to like armor class 147. The idea of Dungeons and Dragons back in the day was a storytelling element. It was an adventure. It wasn't about fighting hordes of goblins after horde of goblin and then orcs and kobolds and an eventual dragon that takes 3 days to fight. Mm-hmm. It was about the story and the adventure and exploration of dungeons and castles and caverns and just all sorts of, landscapes and stuff. And so you only had this 20-point range for armor class. And a wizard started off with 1d4 hit points. There was no heroic durability of, you 1d4 plus 40 plus your constitution score plus all this. And magic was not terribly as common as it is nowadays, except in Dragonlance, and that's a whole different story because every world is just kind of bugged together. So my question to you is, how long-winded? How? And this is not a gotcha or I'm throwing you like saying you're wrong about this. How is it that you find 3rd edition where an average fighter of level what, I think it'll be 6 or 7 at this point, has 300 hit points? You know what I'm saying? In an armor class, I might be a little off in the levels, but I know right now I have level 15 fighters that use 3.5 rules, 3.0 rules that have like 800 hit points after all the bonuses and stuff.
No, you're thinking of a different, because Hannah's a 3rd edition character. By the time we finished playing, she was level 12, which tells you how long it took to level up back in 3rd edition. We played for almost 2 years. And she has 82 hit points.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking 3.5, because at some point when Wizards
started getting into the trees.
Yes,
where
that's the
you
one
had to like pick. That's where it got WoWified. 3rd edition was not the THAC0. You don't need as many like D12s unless you're using like what still used a D12? I can't even think. I had never used it because I was always like a halfling or something small.
Bastard. One of the swords uses it, either bastard or
like a bastard sword. Maybe it was a D12. I don't know. The D12 just sat there. Although I just learned, and I'm having a Mandela effect on this. What is the name of a D20? Like the official name of the shape?
Oh my God. Hell if I know. I'm going to go dodecahedron or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, dodecahedron is a 12-sided dice. My whole life, I was like, dodec, 210, right? That's right. No, and icosahedron is a D20. I was like, what kind of Mandela effect is happening to my world right now?
I also don't know anything past like I know other languages, so I can kind of guess these things, which is why I guess dodecahedron. Here's my thing, though, about 3.5 then, and maybe not 3.0, because I never played 3.0. I was always a 2.0 guy. Mm-hmm. Cthulhu, back when TSR and Gary Gygax had rights to H.P. Lovecraft's mythology.
Yeah.
Cthulhu only had 346 hit points or something like that.
And that was insane. You could never kill. It was like killing Tiamat. Like, it's
and he was a god. Yeah. And in 3.5, when they WoWified everything, you know what I'm saying? You get these 20th level, fighters that are like, I got 1,400 points. To me, the simplicity of fewer hit points made the game more fun.
It made it harder, is really. But they did the same thing. Like, I used to play Star Wars online, and then all of a sudden anybody could be a Jedi. Like, you could just start. And I was like, but people worked really hard to become it. Like, you had to play that game to earn Jedi, and now you could just start as one. So I think they just that's just how it goes. It comes out. It's hard. People really put time and effort into it, and then they're like, well, let's get more people into it. So let's make it a little bit easier. But then also you're getting more people in to play the game, and they're enjoying it. The fact that my enjoyment has changed it's still, I'm glad people are playing the game.
But they're not playing the same game.
They're not. And that's okay. People could play different games. It doesn't the fact that I like 3rd edition doesn't mean that we all, everybody has to. Other people may like the fact that it's a calculator game.
I feel like there's something less to enjoy when you're sitting there going, oh, I got a plus 47 to this and plus 5, and then you have to add, you know what I'm saying? And then you're like, oh, my total plus
that's
is this.
Like D&D Beyond does it for you. It does all the math for you now. So you just click on it. And it
And
makes
I will say D&D Beyond has become really cool. I've tried playing via like Skype and stuff like that with friends, and I can't do it.
I play on Discord with friends because we're all older and everybody has kids, and now I live in Canada.
Yeah.
But playing on Discord with Avray has been working pretty well.
It's the noise, like, because D&D sessions will inevitably boil down to one person wanting to play, two people having a side conversation about what toppings they like on their nachos, the DM trying to gather everything together, and the other player or two sitting there flipping through music and looking at memes on their phone. And that noise is too much.
You lose that, like, because we used to play around the table, right? And then you would order pizza and everybody. It was hanging out plus playing D&D. Now we just play D&D. Like it's more focused. But I've also played a few where you pay per campaign, and those are all like that. It's business. Like, I have paid to participate. Tell me a story. We are only gaming. We are not socializing.
Oh, so that is wonderful.
You sort of separated. Speaking of, you were saying, it's the difference between playing a role-playing game where it's all about storytelling and character development and moving the plot along versus rolling up a fighter. I played in a Lord of the Rings campaign with Dan Wells is an author, but he also runs campaigns. And I, as a default, I always make a fighter. Like I can fight in a situation. We played for probably 6 months before we had a real fight. And I was like, oh, I can do all of this. Like the other stuff, I can role play, I can do storytelling. I created a character, I had a whole backstory. It was awesome. And then he made villains for us to kill with entire backstories, and we killed him very quickly. And he was like, that guy had like a name and a history, and we were like, we rolled up fighters. Did you not look at our stats? Like, I put points in charisma, which is what I use for most of the role playing, but I can use a bow and arrow.
You just kind of rolled up like a Henry Cavill,
Right.
big, very charismatic.
My
just
little,
kick
my
your
little
ass.
hobbit,
Yeah.
with my little short bow.
That is wonderful. I've never role played in any system outside of D&D. I've never done Star Wars. I've never done Lord of the Rings. And it's not that I wouldn't. It's just I've never been. I've done like a bunch of homebrew D&D type stuff, but never any outside. I just know of GURPS and I know of them all and stuff, but I've never.
Yeah, I played oh my god, Torg way back in the day. I did all the shadow runs. I did the vampire, werewolf, wraith, gypsy, anything white wolf. God, what else? Star Wars. We did a lot of D20 Modern for a while, which was a lot of fun. We did Zombie Apocalypse, and we also, all right, this is how much of a gamer nerd I am. We rolled up ourselves. And to do our stats, we had to perform functions. Like we were all standing outside in my friend's backyard and we had to climb a fence. And if you could climb a fence, then your dexterity was like a 14 or up.
But if you couldn't climb it, it was below.
Yeah, if you couldn't get over it, then I was like, my dex is like an 8. Like I could climb over this couch. Like that's.
Well, they actually, in the old second edition advanced D&D handbooks, they have what gives you your modifiers. Like strength, wasn't it all about bench press? It was all about military press.
But it was, and push pull drag was the other thing that was really important.
Yeah. So like if you could military press only 120 pounds, you had a 12 strength. Doesn't matter how much you could bench or anything, but if you could push pull, you know what I'm saying? And the other factors that play into it and stuff like that. But like, yeah, the one thing I didn't like, and I think 3.0 is when this was introduced, and because I like simplicity. When they started going, instead of your dexterity modifying your climbing and your swimming, they now have it separated out so you can put points into it and stuff like that.
It's all athletics now.
They've dumbed it back or condensed it back down into.
For a little while, you had to have points in swimming. You had to have points in climbing. You had to have points like driving. I remember. Well, in D20 was a big modern D20 was driving. Can you drive a stick shift? Can you drive a truck? Like all of those different levels. But we did the Matrix for a while. That was fun. There's a Labyrinth game. Speaking of my mug, which has
hello.
So we played the Labyrinth game. We played the Dark Crystal game.
I don't know if I could play the Labyrinth game because I would just end up the entire session just telling everyone they remind me of the Babe.
What Babe?
Exactly. And it would just get so old, and I would be beaten to death in real life, and then they'd be considered a justifiable homicide because the whole courtroom would just get that song stuck in their head and be like, you are free to go.
But we need more David Bowie in the world.
Okay, not to touch on a touchy subject. I love his music.
I love Labyrinth, and I like his music too. But Labyrinth was.
I love some of what he stood for, but things were different back in the day.
He did some weird shit.
Yeah, he did some weird shit back in the day, and
I don't know. All right, if this is my English degree coming out, but anyone that makes art that you study, it doesn't matter. Anyone, you don't even have to make art, but if you start looking at people's lives, you're going to be disappointed by everybody.
Yes.
So I'm like, I separate. I'm like, there's the human being and what they did with their life and the thing that they created. I'm one of the people who I'm like, these are two separate things. You create a thing, it goes out into the world. It has its own agency, its own autonomy, and it is its own thing. So by that logic, I can still appreciate Harry Potter for what it is and what it did while not appreciating J.K. Rowling. But I'm like, I've been doing that. You do that for Picasso because he was an asshole. You do that for Hemingway because he was an asshole. Like, you just... Yeah. I'm sorry. Can I curse on here? My bad.
Yeah. No, we're fine. We had a whole episode about one lady who was using cock cages as an IUD for her character. It was a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is not a family-friendly podcast. And if it was up until this point, sorry.
Yeah, my books are spicy, just FYI. Other than the first Cloud and Ring, everything else is pretty spicy.
I have some spice in my books, and I feel like the books that I had it and needed it, but any future books I write after that whole series and secondary series isn't going to have it. I just don't feel
like YA. Your vampires one is more.
But even that gets dark, but it doesn't get spicy dark. It's just it gets dark in the sense of everyone fucking dies.
My main characters have sex with people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I'm still on the fact that technically it's romance. There's nothing romantic about it. The romance isn't the main of it's lit fic with sex. Just because it has sex in it doesn't make it romance. The relationship's a backdrop.
It depends on my relationships. That's why I write romantasy. Like the romance is the forefront. The fact that it takes place in a fantastic world is secondary. I don't write fantasy romance. I write romance fantasy.
That would be romantasy then, right?
Yeah, romantasy. So the relationships are the most important thing because it is the main character kind of figuring out where she belongs in the world in relation to other humans. All right, not humans because they're like fae and vampires and demons and stuff.
So if romance is first and fantasy is second, it's romantasy. Mm-hmm. If fantasy is first and romance is second, is that phantomance?
It's just fantasy romance. If you look on, it's just the metadata. Which code do you use? Well, what's primary? Fantasy romance it'll be all about the world building, the political upheaval, probably the character development, but not in relation to other people or other characters.
Okay. Yes. No. That is good to know. And it's nice to know that they didn't have that abomination of a word that I tried to create in there because
phantomance.
Phantomance.
I don't know. Romance seems to work better. It rolls a little better.
It rolls, but it also says that the romance is the predominant.
Primary. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas fantasy, if it's primary, just be fantasy romance because phantomance is a horrible word. No one should ever say it again after this episode.
Yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah. I've gotten on board with the the smushed words. I used to hate the word croissandwich.
Oh, but it's a thing.
It is a thing now.
All right, I wrote a textbook on sentence diagramming, so I'm a big linguistics nerd. And I love when there's new words for things when we use words in new ways. It's fascinating. I love that English keeps changing. I think it's awesome.
I love linguistics and I love that things change, but just because you like something doesn't mean you have to like every aspect of it. And for a long time, I still don't like the word sandwich.
Well, it has a corporate connotation.
That and it indicates it's just a sandwich made from a croissant. You don't say I'm having a white bread witch.
No,
You're
because
saying having a marble
sandwich
witch,
is the category, and then Chris sandwich is very specific. I
but
like
the specific, but all it is a sandwich with the specific type of bread. If
Yeah.
you did that for every specific type of bread, you'd be like, I'm having a rye witch, or I'm having a
I know,
pumpernickel witch.
but it saves you time. I could say a Chris sandwich. What is that? 3 syllables, and I'm done. You know exactly what I'm talking
You're
about.
having a
Whereas if I'm like,
sandwich.
I'm gonna have a sandwich on white bread. That takes so
All-
much longer to say.
All I'm saying is if the highlight of your sandwich is that it's on a croissant, it's either A, not a very good sandwich, or B, just eat the damn croissant and forget the filling.
I've had good Chris sandwiches. Croissants
But
make
that's because
good.
they're good sandwiches.
Well, it depends on the. I don't know. I will only eat a breakfast sandwich on a croissant. I think
Oh.
that having lunch
Oh.
on some
What
sort
is
of
wrong with you? Egg
I mean,
McMuffins are the way to go.
croissant is a breakfast item or dessert, like by itself, all alone.
A
But yeah,
croissant is you could have a croissant in the shower and be okay. A croissant is an anytime food. Drunk,
An anytime-
sober,
I don't know.
morning, night, yeah. But guys do weird things.
A croissant in the shower just seems like a mess.
Well, only if you get it wet. I've had food in the shower before. I've also been drunk. If you're out at a bar and you're drinking, you're eating while peeing. If you're at guys do things, and guys won't talk about them. This is not all men, and not all men way. You know, like but when you're in your 20s and you're drinking, you do weird things with food, and not like American Pie way either. I'm just saying you eat in weird spots.
Hey, I just wrote a scene last night where I have the Vampire King drinking Mountain Dew and eating Doritos, like on a road trip, like full on college boy.
Yeah. But that's the thing is sometimes you're eating Doritos at a bar and you don't want your friends to like bogart them while you're peeing, so you take them and you eat them while you're peeing you know what I'm saying? Like you do these things because you have friends who are assholes, and it's just what it is. But I digress. We are getting to the point where at this point, anyone who's still listening wants to know what types of drugs I use, and I don't use drugs. I just have a very strange mind, and that's why I'm an author, and that's why she's an author. She can have these conversations with me. But for anyone who's listening, they're going to want to know where to find you. So tell us where we can find you, where we can buy your books, all that jazz.
AuthorJMPaquette.com will have everything. If you're in the US, I can mail to you. And if you're in Canada, I can now mail to you. But if you go anywhere, my books are wide, so they're everywhere, you know. Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble. But if you are outside of the US, they are very expensive because of imports and tariffs. So my website is your best bet.
And for anyone listening who can't see her name being spelled and doesn't understand French etymology, it's Paquette, double T, E
Yes.
on both sides of the T's, Paquette, jmpaquette.com. Yeah, follow her. And where are you going to be? Because you're going to be signing with me, actually, in July.
Yeah, I'm going to be at the Barnes & Noble in Wesley Chapel in July. I'll be at Flirty in Tampa in August. In September, I'll be at Dragon Con. I'm on a ton of panels, and I'm doing the Fantasy Gather. So if you end up in Atlanta, I'm doing a bunch of events also up in the Canada area. I'll be at Hamilton's Pages and Pleasures, and then the Christmas Book Market over in, where is it? Niagara. Mm-hmm.
I've actually looked at houses in the Niagara area, but on the U.S. side, and I've heard very mixed things about
the U.S. side. Now that I've been on the Canada side, the U.S. side is very sad. It's pretty. There's a lot more nature stuff there, but any of the like right near the falls stuff is a little old. If you go over, it feels very, Nick, you would hate it. It's very Orlando, downtown Disney.
On the Canada. You know what though? That's where we go all the time. Just we go to Disney Springs and stuff.
It's touristy. Yeah. There's a hill with all the different things. There's like hang glide. Yeah, I love the Canada side. There's a lot more stuff to do, and a lot of it is inside. Yeah. Whereas the American side, there are parks and things, but every time I've gone, there's always construction, so you can't go anywhere. You're like, here's a parking lot. And then there's like one sad buffet area, and that's like. Mm-hmm. Got different places, and then that's really it.
But we will be at Wesley Chapel, which is somewhere in Florida. I don't know where. I have to Google it before I drive there.
North of Tampa.
That is not where I was thinking it was at. Okay, I'm okay with that. I thought I was driving down like westbound for that show.
No, it's like slightly northeast of Tampa.
Again, why you study geography, folks, and not just rely on
My
your
friend's
Google
parents
Maps.
live there. That's why I know.
Yeah, I pretend to know things. That's what I do. If you had one piece of writing advice you can give to an aspiring writer, what would it be?
Write your story. A lot of times, because I teach creative writing, people will be like, well, my story is very similar to this, or it's already been done. I was like, yeah, but you didn't tell it, and no one will tell that story the way that you will. So you're the only you, and you should write it, because we need to hear it from you, because yours will be different.
And then edit the shit out of it.
I mean, we will, but
yeah.
Always get an editor. That's my other tip. Pay for an editor.
Yes. Don't self-edit. Okay, what do you think of self-editors?
All right, so I am an editor and I'm an author, and I edit my own books and then I send them to an editor, because I will not see all of my errors. You never will, because it's your baby and it's your words, and you're just going to read what you think you wrote instead of what you actually wrote. You need an outside pair of eyes to do that. So, yeah, it is one of the most important things.
You heard it here, folks. Jay and Paquette, I want to thank you so much for being on the show with me today and for putting up with all my shenaniganry and absolutely asinine questions. So thank you so much.
Time. Oh, I'm supposed to. Here, I wrote a book called 10 Steps to Save Your Editor's Sanity. It's stuff you should do to your book before you send it to an editor. Just FYI. Okay, sorry.
But it does not replace an editor. It just helps save them, because the more the manuscript you can hand in, the better job your editor can do.
Yes, because then you let them use their higher editing skills rather than just fixing all your commas.
And sometimes commas aren't actually necessary.
Right? You don't use them. You don't throw them like darts. That's not how they go.
Because then it does confuse your editors and it gets all up in their head going, wait, I don't think it's needed. But there's so many of them. They're like, maybe I'm wrong.
Dude, there's 6 reasons. If it's not one of them, don't use it.
6 reasons to use a comma, the very unexciting version of the 10 Reasons Why TV show. That was such a bad joke for so many reasons. Anyways, thank you so much. Everyone who's listening still.
That's where you're going with this.
Yeah, no. For anyone who's still listening, please write in and tell me why. I love you all. Thank you for listening. And until next time, remember, it costs nothing to be kind. Thank you so much for being.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.